There's a kind of man almost every woman finds impossible to ignore. And no, it's not the loud spender, not the dramatic rebel, and definitely not the endlessly agreeable nice guy. If your thumb is hovering over, back, pause, because by the end of this video, you'll understand a simple, unshakable truth about attraction, one so fundamental that even most women don't consciously realize it's what pulls them in. It isn't a trick, it isn't a hack, it's a way of carrying yourself that changes how people feel in your presence. Listen closely, you won't find this in quick fix manuals, bite-size audio clips, or casual advice from friends guessing in the dark. Yet the men who truly grasp it, the ones who live it, become quiet constants in women's daydreams. They don't need to shout. They don't need to peacock. Their energy does the heavy lifting. And yes, you can become that man. Most viewers click away within the first minute. If you're still here, you're already separating from the noise. You're about to hear what the majority never figure out alone. And if you want to go beyond what can be shared publicly, the Stoicism Drive Inner Circle is open now. A private space where we dissect the real mechanics of attraction, confidence, and control with raw, unfiltered clarity. Link below. For now, let's build from the ground up. Sign 1. The man who doesn't flinch. He doesn't beg for permission to be himself. He isn't auditioning for approval. And he doesn't fold when the moment tightens. Women feel this instantly. It registers beneath language. Picture a woman accustomed to men softening their tone to please her, throwing sugar on every sentence, texting relentlessly to stay on her radar, performing like they're at an interview. Then she meets you, the man who listens without hoop jumping, who can disagree calmly without scrambling to keep the peace, who can smile and hold his line. That's when her circuitry stutters in the best way. Humans are wired to respect those who move through life with a clean center, no apology for existing, no compulsion to be chosen. The man who can say, "This isn't for me," and stand up, not in anger, not in theatrics, but in self-respect, hits a deep switch. He is calm without being passive, firm without being rude, open without being needy. Suddenly, the frame flips. You become the standard, not the applicant. Consider how that looks day to day. She replies late, you don't spiral. Plans shift, you adapt or decline. Then return to your life. A test appears, teasing, minor provocation, a baited hook to pull you out of frame, and you let it pass like weather. You don't police, you don't petition, you don't perform. Paradoxically, that's what turns heads. People don't obsess over what chases them. They obsess over what remains grounded. And groundedness is not coldness. It's warm composure, an ease that says, I'm good with myself. If you've ever tried to nice your way into chemistry, you already know the truth. Affection earned by appeasement evaporates as soon as you stop appeasing. What endures is the sensation that you cannot be rattled by the fear of losing someone. Why is that so compelling? Because it signals you won't betray yourself to keep anyone. That is safety. That is leadership. That is gravity. And gravity makes people orbit. So, practice not flinching in tiny places. A pause before you answer. A breath before you defend yourself. A willingness to say no without a nervous explanation. You'll feel awkward at first. Good. That means you're replacing approval chasing with self-trust. Slowly, the impulse to perform dies off, and something else wakes up in its place. Quiet power. Sign 2. The mirror. He reflects. He doesn't perform. Most men perform. They stack credentials in conversation like badges, possessions, titles, flexes. It's an audition for a role she didn't ask them to play. The rare man does something completely different. He reflects. He receives her, tracks her meaning, acknowledges her inner world without rushing to fix, sell, or outshine it. He's not passive, he's present. Imagine she says she's grinding 14-hour days for a promotion. The performer brags, I do 16, no breaks. He's competing, not connecting. The mirror responds, that sounds draining. Is it still feeling worth it? That tiny shift, from one-upmanship to grounded curiosity, changes the entire room. It signals depth, attention, and security. It says, I'm not threatened by your reality, I can hold it. That creates intimacy without theatrics. Reflecting isn't flattery, it's precision. It means you respond instead of react. You summarize the feeling you just heard. You ask the question beneath the obvious question. You let silence breathe for a beat longer than is comfortable, because you're not hustling to fill space. It's remarkable how rare this is. In a world where people are constantly being pitched and packaged, being truly seen is like oxygen. And oxygen is addictive. Here's the paradox. When a woman feels seen rather than sold to, she relaxes her guard. When she relaxes her guard, she notices you. She rereads your messages. She starts conversations. She tries to understand what she's feeling around you and why it feels different. That curiosity is the seed of desire, not the loud, fragile kind that needs constant reassurance, but a slow burn fascination. Who is this man who doesn't perform for approval and doesn't withhold to manipulate, who just is? If you're tempted to use reflection as a tactic, you're missing it. Reflection is the natural style of a man with nothing to prove and nothing to hide. He creates space, then invites someone to bring their truth into it. That space is where attachment forms, safely, steadily, and for the right reasons. Sign 3. The storm beneath still water. Some men enter a room without a sound, and the room still finds them. It isn't about flash, volume, or a spotlight. It's about charge, an almost electrical stillness. There's tension held with care, a signal of strength under the surface. You notice it in unhurried eye contact that lingers a fraction longer, in answers that are succinct without being evasive, in the refusal to rescue anyone from feeling their feelings. He can sit with intensity. He doesn't try to smother it with jokes, noise, or advice no one asked for. Stillness like this isn't blankness. It's concentration. It shows up in your posture, open, stacked, relaxed. It lives in your breath, deep, low, slow. It colors your voice, clear and deliberate. The effect on others is subtle and undeniable. The space around you feels organized. That sensation is rare. Most social spaces are chaotic. Everyone's subconsciously bumping for position, validation, and relief. When somebody shows up self-contained, the contrast is startling. People orient to it without quite knowing why. This doesn't require status. It isn't exclusive to certain physiques or bank accounts. It's a practice of being. The man with still water over storm has a center he returns to again and again. He's done enough inner work to recognize his own triggers. He bows out of games instead of claiming he wins them. He can take a joke without retaliating, receive a compliment without explaining it away, hear a criticism without collapsing. Try that in your next conversation. Hear something provocative, then let it pass through you. Don't flatten it, don't inflate it, just hold, then respond simply. Watch how the dynamic changes. When a woman senses that center, her inner world gets loud. Curiosity spikes. What would move him? What would make him smile? What lives behind those eyes? You don't need to answer those questions. You just need to be real enough that the questions are worth asking. That's where magnetism begins, not in performing a script, but in being a mystery that is honest, not evasive. Sign 4. He knows when to walk away. There is a clean kind of power in leaving well, not ghosting, not flaking, not playing juvenile scarcity games. Leaving well means this: the moment you see you're not aligned, values, effort, respect, you bow out calmly and completely. No speeches, no scorched earth, no last-ditch sales pitch for your worth. You simply choose your peace and redirect your attention. Why does that drive people wild? Because it demonstrates a boundary without a boast. It says your standard isn't a threat, it's a fact. Most men in the wrong dynamic do the opposite. They petition. They over-explain. They audition for a role they don't even want, so long as they're chosen. But peace has a price. And the price is letting go of what isn't choosing you with clarity. To become the man who leaves well, learn detachment. Detachment isn't indifference, it's devotion to truth. It's choosing reality over fantasy, no matter how flattering the fantasy is. It's refusing the roles of backup plan, placeholder, and option, because you respect the finite nature of your time. When someone realizes you are willing to walk, endless testing dissolves. Timing suddenly has gravity. Your presence stops being taken for granted because it isn't guaranteed. Try this frame the next time behavior clashes with your standard. You're free to do as you like. I'm simply not available for this. No threats, no drama, no debate. Then follow through. The silence that follows has a message baked into it. You won't abandon yourself to keep anyone. That message earns respect, even from those who can't meet it. And strangely, it often pulls the right people closer, because your yes begins to mean something again. Sign 5. Presence that makes her feel like the only woman in the room, without a word. Words are cheap, presence is expensive and unforgettable. A man can lock eyes across a crowded space and make her pulse skip without saying a thing. That isn't a trick, it's the natural effect of calm, grounded attention. For one moment, all your spinning stops, your gaze softens, the noise around you fades. You let yourself look, and you let yourself be seen, without hunger, without hurry. Here's what this is not: staring, smirking, scanning. Here's what it is: a clear signal, sent once, held for a beat, then released, the face relaxed, the shoulders easy, the mouth at rest or touched by the ghost of a smile. If she looks back again, let the connection hold for another beat and break it first. Gently. The message is simple. I'm not here to extract. I'm here. That's astonishingly rare. Presence like this lingers because it gives a feeling most people chase in the wrong places. Being chosen without being consumed. Being special without someone shrinking themselves to make it so. It's a paradox. She feels elevated, but you haven't made yourself small. You simply made space. And people step into honest space because it feels safe to do so. You don't need lines when your presence is coherent. You don't need to flex when your silence communicates clarity. Stand like a man who belongs wherever he is, because he belongs to himself. Move unhurried. Speak when there's something to say. Ask a clean question. Listen all the way to the end of an answer. Small behaviors, repeated, become atmosphere. And atmosphere, the way it feels around you, is what memory clings to. Sign 6. He turns pain into power, and she can feel it. People are astonishingly good at sensing emotional strength. Not the brittle armor of, nothing gets to me, but the earned calm of someone who has looked into their own shadows and didn't run. This man doesn't wave scars for sympathy, and he doesn't bury them under denial. He owns his story, integrates it, and lets it refine him. There's a quiet maxim worth holding: if you don't face what is hidden in you, it will pilot your life while you call it fate. Doing the inner work is not glamorous: grief, humility, repair, forgiveness, discipline, but it yields a steadiness that can't be faked. You stop snapping at small things. You no longer get baited by every test. You recognize patterns early and adjust before damage compounds. Your calm ceases to be a performance and becomes your baseline. If you've known heartbreak, betrayal, disappointment, good, don't waste it. Use it. Let it teach you what you value, what you ignore, what you tolerate that you shouldn't, what you expect that you must voice. Decide what standard is worth protecting, and protect it first in yourself. When you carry emotional gravity, people feel it before you speak. It's in your timing, your patience, your refusal to escalate just to win, your willingness to say, "I was wrong," without losing face. This transformation is magnetic because it's rare. Most people rush around trying to control the world to avoid feeling their wounds. The man who has metabolized his pain doesn't need to control anything to feel okay. He can love without clinging, detach without bitterness, commit without fear, and leave without cruelty. That combination, open heart, firm boundary, changes rooms. It changes lives. You made it to the end. That already places you ahead of the average man chasing shortcuts and gimmicks. You're not here to memorize lines. You're here to master a way of being so grounded that attraction becomes a byproduct of your presence. So what now? Begin carrying yourself like a man who owns his story. Let your words land with intention. Move as someone who doesn't need to chase, because the right eyes always notice. Practice the micro habits. A breath before you speak. A pause before you defend. A clean no without apology. A real question instead of a performance. Stillness where most would fidget. A graceful exit when your standard isn't met. If you're serious about leveling up, in dating and in life, subscribe to Stoicism Drive. Like this video, and drop a comment telling me which sign you're stepping into first. Share this with a friend who needs the wake-up call. Your circle changes as you change. And if you want the unfiltered playbook, the deep dives I can't post publicly, step into the Stoicism Drive inner circle. Inside, you'll get private strategy breakdowns on the unspoken dynamics that govern attraction and influence. Weekly members-only videos, voice notes that you can apply the same day, and a community of men who are high-value, strategic, and relentlessly self-aware. This is where transformation sticks. Spots won't remain open forever, not because of a gimmick, but because depth doesn't scale well, and that's the point. The door is open now. Link in the description. Step through it. Walk alone and you'll move fast. Walk with a mission and you'll become unstoppable. This is your mission.